So number 10, we have another problem where we have to apply PEMDAS, order of operations. Order of operations are very important to understand. Even if you're using a calculator, if you do not understand order of operations, you will get the wrong answer. So please pay special attention to order of operations. Now let's look at this problem. So the first step, since we have parentheses to work with, we'll start with what's inside the parentheses, but we're going to write down everything else. Now, parentheses first, but once you look inside the parentheses, you have to rethink again. PEMDAS is the order of operations. We have 3 squared, and then we have subtraction, and then so the first thing we're going to do is exponents inside the parentheses. So 3 squared is 3 times 3, and then we subtract a 2. Next step, again we have parentheses, so we look inside parentheses. 3 times 3 minus 2, multiplication comes before addition, so we go 3 times 3 is 9, minus 2. This is equal to 42 divided by, we still have parentheses, so we still have to simplify what's inside parentheses. Now we have only subtraction, and 9 minus 2 is 7. 7, what's inside parentheses has been simplified to a single number 7, so we don't need to put a parentheses around 7. And now of course what's left is to divide 42 by 7, and 7 goes 6 times into 42. So go vertically down, put an equal to sign every step, and I'm writing down every little step that I'm thinking through. Once you get experience with order of operations, you can skip steps, but be very careful when you skip steps, because we can make mistakes if you're skipping steps, and if it's an exam especially, make sure you're writing down everything so you don't forget or miss anything in the order of operations. So one more example, we have 108 divided by the quantity in parentheses 3 cubed minus 6 times, and that little dot is times 4. So we have 108 divided by, and we are going to deal with parentheses first. So again, PEMDAS. So we are looking inside parentheses and thinking, what do we need to do first inside the parentheses? So again, we go through the order of operations, and exponents comes first. So 3 cubed is 3 times 3 times 3. This is a step that you at least have to think through carefully, even if you don't write it down. Because 3 cubed, a lot of times I see students writing 3 cubed as 3 times 3, which is 9. That's completely incorrect. 3 cubed is 3 times 3 times 3. The base 3 is repeated 3 times. The exponent says repeat 3 times. And that is 3 times 3 is 9. 9 times 3 is 27. Minus, and that little dot, I'm going to write it as times 4. So 108 divided by, and then multiplication comes before subtraction. So let's multiply. 3 times 3 times 3 is 27. Minus 6 times 4 is 24. Now again, parentheses first. Unless what's inside the parentheses is simplified to a single number, you cannot think of doing anything else. So again, we look inside the parentheses. There's only one operation, which is subtraction. So we do that. 27 minus 24 is 3. And then notice that we don't need to put parentheses if there's a single number, and that means we've simplified what's inside the parentheses completely. And now we're going to divide 108 by 3. 3 times 3 is 9. Subtract to get a 1. Bring the 8 down. 3 6s are 18. Subtract to get a 0. So 36 is the answer. 36, let's double check. 36 times 3, this is how you check if your division is right. You multiply the 36 and 3. 6 3s are 18. 1, 3 times 3 is 9. 108. So that is correct. And the answer, the final answer is 36. Now, the following are the quiz scores of 5 students. What is the average? So the average is always the sum of all the numbers divided by the total number of numbers. So sum of all numbers divided by the total number of numbers. So what does this mean? 7 plus 7 plus 8 plus 10 plus 8. The whole thing is divided by 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. There are 5 numbers that we added, so we divide by 5 to get the average score on a quiz for these 5 students. So let's add the numbers. 7 plus 7 is 14 plus 8. 8 plus 4 is 12. Carry the 1 over, you get a 22. So we've added all 3 numbers. Now we add a 10. Sorry, that's a 22. Add 10 to get 32. And then we've added all these 3 numbers. And then we add an 8 to get a 40. 8 plus 2 is 10. Carry the 1 over, and that's a 40. So that is 40 divided by 5. Notice what we did here. We simplified the entire numerator first. So technically we are treating this as a parentheses first. So the whole numerator has to be simplified. The entire denominator obviously is simplified. And then we do the division. 5 goes 8 times into 40. And the average of these 5 scores is 8. Now when you enter this into your calculator, 7 plus 7 plus 8 plus 10 plus 8. So if you enter this and you divide by 5, I want you to check what you get. And that's equal to 33.6. Now notice that's not what we got. We got an 8. So this is what we need to remember when we enter numbers into a calculator. So what we need to do is put a parentheses around the entire numerator, which means these parentheses tell us to add all the numbers first before dividing by 5. So that would be a wrong answer, because if you go the way we did earlier, so that would be 7 plus 7 plus 8 plus 10 plus 8 divided by 5, your calculator is going to use order of operations, which means division comes before addition. So it's going to divide only the 8 by 5, and then it's going to add all these 3 numbers to give you a 36.6. Your calculator follows order of operations, so you have to be extremely careful when you enter numbers into your calculator. In this class, we are not going to use a calculator, but in future, in your next class, you're going to use calculators. But remember, you need to know your order of operations, even if you're using a calculator in your future math classes. So remember that this line kind of says divide this entire numerator by 8, okay? Which means it's technically a parentheses around the entire numerator. And if your denominator has more than one term, make sure you put a parentheses around your entire denominator if you eventually use a calculator. Now let's do this one last example. There's one in your homework as well, which is similar to this. Here we're going to use PEMDAS again, okay? But this problem, using this problem, I want to remind you that parentheses look like this. They can also look like this and possibly this. So any of these we would call, in general, we would call them brackets, and it's the same as the word parentheses. So remember, when we use PEMDAS, we say start with the innermost parentheses first. That's where you start simplifying. So let's see what the innermost parentheses is. So we have 1, which is the fancy bracket, so the braces, and then we have 1, let's say parentheses, which I'm highlighted in blue. So start with the innermost parentheses, and that would be the innermost parentheses. So let's start with, and then no matter what, write down everything, whether you use it or not, just write it down. We're not going to work with the 15 or the 2 right away, but let's write it down. Now we look inside the parentheses. And again, we have to think in terms of order of operations. Inside the parentheses, we have 10 minus 2 times 2. Multiplication comes before addition. Just be very alert. Don't do the 10 minus 2. These two are attached together by multiplication, and multiplication has to be done first. So that's your first step. Again, we have the innermost parentheses first. We still have the brackets outside, but we want to go to the innermost parentheses first. So we have 3 plus 2, and write down everything, whether you need it or not at the moment. Just write it down. And this is equal to 10 minus 4, and those are the only 2 left. 10 minus 4 is 6. Remember, what's between the 2 and the parentheses is a times. That's understood. If you don't write anything, it just means it's multiplication. So 2 times 10 minus 4 is 6. And then we have brackets. Again, parentheses first. And now our parentheses are the fancy brackets or the braces. And now we have 3 plus 2 times, and then we look inside the parentheses, multiplication first before we subtract. So we have 15 minus 2 times 6. So we multiply first, is 12. Start again, put an equal to sign, write down everything. 15 minus 12 is 3. And what's between these two? Same as before, it's multiplication. And now the final step, and that's equal to 3 plus 3 2s are 6, and that's because we multiply before adding. Addition comes last. 6 plus 3 is 9. So 9 is your final answer, and remember to go vertically down, put your equal to sign every step, and write down everything. And this way you minimize the possibility of errors, writing down everything and doing every step carefully. So if you go back and check real quick, parentheses first, 10 minus 2 times 2 is 4, 10 minus 4 is 6. So then we have, so that part is correct. So we have 3 plus 2 times, we do the multiplication first, 6 times 2 is 12. 15 minus 12, that's where we start because it's the parentheses. 15 minus 12 is 3. And between the 3 and the 2 is a multiplication that's understood. Next we do multiplication before addition, always multiplication before addition. So that is 3 plus 2 times 3 is 6, 3 plus 6 is 9, and that's the answer. It's so easy to check. If you write everything down, you can check your answer.